All right, I'm here with actor McHale, who was just recently on an episode of The Mysteries of Laura. You may recognize as the drug dealer who kind of hit on Deborah Messing a little bit. Why don't you talk a little bit about when you first wanted to become an actor, when you realized it was something you would do as a career?
Well, I've always wanted to be an actor, ever since I found out what it was. I did it a lot as a kid, as a job, and then when I got to a certain age, people were really pressuring me to really take it more seriously as a career. But being a child actor was very unappealing to me. I didn't like the way I was treated as an artist. I was very pretentious when I was 12. And I knew it was always what I wanted to do, but I just had this idea that I wanted to live a little bit of a normal life before I took it seriously, because the people that I'd be playing would not usually be actors or child actors. It's a very specific type of experience, and I wanted something that would allow me to portray people in a realistic fashion. I wouldn't have to guess at what it would be like to be in a real life situation. I would have been there. Mm-hmm. But I've never wanted to be anything else. I'm very single-minded. There's nothing else I want to do with my life.
Which is a good thing, because a lot of times people get into the acting to be famous and to be this, to be that. It seems like something that you are in because you enjoy and that you love doing.
Well, yeah, I mean, fame is, it's not tangible, really, and neither is, in my opinion, money, because it can, you can fluctuate. It's not like, it's a temporary thing to achieve, it's impermeable, whereas creating art that you're proud of, films or theater or something, because when you create, that leaves an imprint on yourself, and that's something that is permanent,
Now, are you from the East Coast, or did you come here from California? Yeah.
I'm from the Hudson Valley.
Okay.
Upstate.
So you knew right away that you were going to come down to New York and do this. Did you ever have a desire to go to LA and work out there?
I want to go to LA right now.
Oh.
Every window.
All right, well, we'll just stop the interview. Here's a plane ticket that I got. This is your thank you gift for doing the interview.
Yeah, I really want to go to LA. My dad's a New York artist, and there's sort of this idea, especially among the acting community, that New York is somehow like grittier, or that we work harder. And while that may be true, I think to a certain extent the cultures of the city have become a little bit more similar. New York is the gritty place of the 70s that people like, some especially New Yorkers that were here during the 70s and 80s and 90s, they still kind of think of it that way.
Right.
It's not really that city. I mean, it's I think it's the second safest city in the world, which is good. I mean, I think, but
right.
If I really want to do film and television, obviously LA is, there's just so much more work out there.
Right.
And it's beautiful.
Have you tackled theater while you were here in the city and had that opportunity?
Yeah, actually. I used to run, when I first graduated from acting school, I used to have my own theater company and we would do plays that I came up with, and we would rehearse every day. I thought that, the secret to success isn't really a secret, it's that you just work harder than everyone else, and then it's kind of like you can't be denied if you're just continuously pushing yourself and continuously challenging yourself. So we would improv every day and tackle different scenes every day and do yoga and working out and just boxing sometimes. It was good. It was a good experience for sure. I love theater, but to a certain extent, not to a certain extent, it's very much the actor's medium. It's great for us. It's easier in some ways because you have a solid through line. The focus is easier to maintain. You can get away, I think, with sometimes 80% on stage, whereas if you're not fully there on film, it's very, very obvious to everyone, and it's harder because there's all these people on a film set that don't really care about your process, and
Right.
When you're in theater, there's a certain reverence about, oh, you're an actor, like let's give you a little bit more respect, and that doesn't quite exist. It's kind of on film sets. It's more like, from my experience, like how can we make you super comfortable, like, and how can we pamper you and how can you feel good, which isn't, in my experience, very conducive to
Right.
good work.
You're not going there to be in a spa. You're going there to
Right. Yeah.
to,
I'm going there.
to
I
do
want
a
to
good
be,
job. Yeah.
Exactly. To be a good job and to, I don't know, to do something forceful, I guess.
It's almost like then the crew has their job that they have to do.
Right.
But at the same time, it's the actor who really needs to be in their head and put, like, it's a collaborative effort, but at the same time, each person has a different process of
right,
where they need to be.
I mean, you got to respect what the crew needs to do, and you hope that they're like, I did the Blacklist actually this past month, and my character was like this like survivalist militia person who had lived in the woods for like 10 years since he was a child, and so I was like, all right, like let me try and like get this like mindset right. So I'd want to like stand outside, and they were like going around with like cups of hot soup and like hand warmers and like trying to make sure. I was like, actually, I kind of want to be a little bit uncomfortable right now, especially since you need to keep that mindset for like 4 lines, and you're waiting like 6 hours to say those lines. I feel like that takes an even greater focus than say coming on stage and you have the through line of the character, scene A to scene 6. It makes a lot of sense.
You mentioned that you are going to be on an episode of The Blacklist. You were on an episode of The Mysteries of Laura. Is there would you like to step out of episodic and do? Obviously, you've done film work. You've done a bunch of stuff. Is there one that you gravitate towards?
Well, film is really nice in that it's kind of a self-contained process. It's very similar in some ways to a play, in that you have your start date, you have your end date,
right.
And you kind of have your through line of your character. Whereas, I mean, I imagine, I've never done a full season, but sometimes you don't know where your character is going, but television, in my opinion, is really can be the actor's medium, in that you get a chance to explore such a long form character development, such a long form exploration of character. Whereas sometimes in film and on stage, a lot of those questions you answer yourself, like, oh well, where does this person come from? What do they feel about this? What was their experience like in high school? What's their favorite color? And then sometimes with theater, you also kind of imagine where do they end up? Especially if it's like a tragedy, you kind of want to see oh, well, what happens to my character? But those are questions that I think are almost always answered in a 5-season, 6-season show.
Right. Do you find yourself wanting to pursue, like you said, you had a theater company, financing your own films and doing your own, what you want to do, and having a set the way you want to have it? Is that something that interests you, or?
Definitely. Absolutely. I mean, it kind of I was actually just talking to my mom about this today. To a certain extent, it's kind of well, is that what I'm going to have to do in order to really get a break? Because it's so competitive. And,
absolutely.
How do you really distinguish yourself from the pack? I mean, there's a million guys that look like me. There's a bunch of guys that probably have a similar talent level to me. How can I really define the product I'm selling, which is only ever Shea McHale.
Right, and that's an interesting way to put it, because you are almost selling a brand. You're the Shea McHale brand. Nobody could be, they could be similar to you, but they're not you. So it's almost a marketing piece to be an actor.
That's why I don't do commercials at all. That's in my contract, and I don't do background work. I think you got to be specific about, because, and this is a lot of people bemoan the fact that this is a business where they want to put you into a box, and that's true of everyone. People are oh well, I can only getting cast as this type of character. Well, everyone's only getting cast as one type of character.
Right.
That's the whole thing. But then it's okay, so if those are, instead of being upset that that's the game that we're playing, you kind of realize okay, this is the box I'm in. How can I make the rules of this game work for me?
Right.
I guess. I don't know.
Smart young man. You got it all figured out. You're Shay McHale against the world.
Not at all. Well, no. Shay McHale for the world.
For the world, but yeah. So you said you wanted to go out to California. Would you be interested in opening, continuing theater company out there? No.
No.
You're going clean break.
Yeah, I've already stopped doing that theater company thing. What I realized, maybe if it was the right group of individuals, but what really happened with my theater company was that I think a lot of it takes time. It takes a lot of time. It can take so much time. And the kids I was working with, year one, they're all like ready to go. Year two, they're all really excited. We put on our first show. It's really good. And then like we put on this show, which was really pretty cool, really cool idea, and it came off really well. But I think that they didn't have any real New York experience, so I think they kind of thought, okay, we did this play, and then like everything was gonna start just like, oh, now we're famous like 6 months later or whatever. I don't know what they thought, but then so I was kind of like, okay, so now we have a little bit of momentum going, like let's push even harder. And they kind of like fought against that, and they kind of became like, it just became a big drain on my energy when I was only supposed to be doing the writing part, not the business part. That was like, I had a partner for that. I ended up doing the business and the social media presence and writing the things and organizing the rehearsals and planning what we were going to do. And it was kind of like, well, now I'm just tired all the time, and I feel like you guys wanted to be actors, and now I'm like your mom, like, come on guys, it's time to like practice your acting, and I don't want to fucking do that,
Yeah, no, that's not what it is.
That's not my responsibility to motivate you to do the thing that you came to New York to do.
Being that you're established here in New York, does that give you an even higher level of confidence to go out there, knowing you can do a certain, start at a certain level out there, or? I
don't think so. I think that it's kind of like, I'm gonna have to start a little bit from square one. But what I'm thinking is, if I know I want to go out there, then it's better to start from square one now than like keep pushing it off, even because I've pushed it off 5 years now, and now it's kind of like, okay, well, if I know I'm gonna have to start from a certain level, because ideally you want to be asked to go out there, but the truth is that there's actually just more film out there. So instead of waiting around for the right project that might get me asked out there, I'd rather be out there maybe grinding on some smaller projects and find a great project out there. I don't know. Also, it's just a little bit cheaper to live out there. So
anything's cheaper than living in New York. New York's ridiculous with that. What advice would you give to people who are just starting out, now that you are established and you've been doing it for so long?
Is that?
You don't like that word, right?
Well, I don't feel established, well, I'll tell you that.
You've been doing it for a good number of years, and so in that respect, you are established.
I guess. Advice, I guess.
And you've done a lot.
That's true. I guess a lot of. I've caught a lot of baby fish. I don't know. I guess and this is kind of like, I think, a little counterintuitive to what people usually say, but I would say, take your time. Your development as an artist and an actor is a very personal journey, and frequently people are gonna want you to be in a mindset that maybe you're not there yet, and I don't know if you really benefit from pushing yourself to that. And also, the big one I would say is that the person who defines who you are as an artist and the type of actor you are is yourself. And so if you don't feel comfortable being, I don't know, a comedy actor, or maybe like a serious drama actor, or doing Shakespeare, or being a commercial actor, or anything like that people might ask you to do, then you shouldn't, necessarily do that. Because if you, Sanford Meisner says it takes 20 years to make an actor. And let's say it takes 10 years to get your acting career really started, which I think is like a pretty fair estimate. Even if you started when you were like 12, 22 is when you start to really hit it. I would say that if you realize that there's that much time that you need to fill, then I see a lot of actors and they're running around like chickens with their heads cut off, like, oh, I need to get to this audition, and I need to have this headshot from this guy, and I need to be this, and like that, and then if they're not working for like 3 months or whatever it is, then it's like they're panicking, like, is this really what I'm supposed to be doing? Should I be? You don't want to get into that downward panic spiral of where you're questioning everything,
Right.
because that happens to every artist, I think, at any level of success, especially actors. So like, find ways that you keep yourself steady, keep your mind steady, because going forward at a deliberate pace is going to get you to the destination, but sprinting, you know, like a maniac is going to wear you out, and then you end up quitting. I mean, there's so many people that quit acting, so many. I mean, like, out of, say, like, I don't know, everyone who graduates from acting school and with the dreams of pursuing, you know, an acting career, maybe 2 out of 100, maybe, probably more like 5 out of 1,000 actually stick with it enough to make it a career. I don't know. And also, it's a job, you know. I mean, as much as it feels good and as much fun as it is, it's something that you wake up and you do every day, you know, a little bit every day, or what you can manage every day.